Free Skaro!
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Radio Free Skaro, episode number 970. I am Steven, back in Edmonton.
Warren in Vancouver.
And Chris in Edmonton.
We as noted last week, visiting the in-laws at in Madison, Wisconsin, just outside of Milwaukee, where the Republican National Convention happened. But of course, just as we were pressing record last week, by the way, is when the Trump assassination attempt was happening. So that was like just to give you a little bit of a timestamp there. That seems like a decade ago now. But then
pretty interesting how fast the news cycles move these days.
Yeah, kind of depressing too, to be honest.
Terrifying.
Yeah, a little bit.
A little bit.
And then there was the whole CrowdStrike. Why would you name a company CrowdStrike? That just like I heard CrowdStrike. And
I mean,
I thought,
if you're like a tactical missile company,
yeah,
that's
right?
awesome.
Was it founded in 2000? Oh, let's say 2.
It does sound like it's got some Patriot Act.
Probably changed from like
just do it.
Flower Hugs Inc. to CrowdStrike.
CrowdStrike.
This will sell some government contracts.
Yeah. So anyway, we flew home yesterday, Friday, as we record this. With
Boy,
all
your
balance.
arm's tired.
I know. We only our second of 2 flights is delayed by an hour, and that's the worst that happened, thankfully. A lot of other people had a lot of worse problems.
Only person who should say that joke is Bert's brother Bart. I have spoken.
Yeah.
Oh, I made the same joke last week when they went to
I know, and
Wisconsin.
Bert's brother Bart is the only one who's allowed to make that joke.
I think that joke was old in vaudeville, I think, before they even invented planes. So, but now, and I say this as a disclaimer, just in case the noise removal software doesn't come through, I've returned to Edmonton, where it is not only the hottest it's ever been, but it's also the smokiest it's ever been at the same time. So we have to have the windows open so we don't boil inside, but we will now asphyxiate because the forest fire smoke from a few hours north of us has come down and engulfed the city. So welcome to 2024. This is
Mordor.
what it's like
Welcome
now.
to Mordor.
Yep. So we have the windows open, basically. Both Chris and I have the windows open. I've got like an air purifier going. I got a fan going here. We'll do our best, but if you hear any extraneous sounds, that's the reason for it.
Just a window here, thankfully, not the other stuff like you've got. But one nice thing about your place, Stephen, just in general, is your 2 balconies and your giant balcony doors, so you can actually have airflow. Because in our place, it's a lot harder to dissipate the heat. So it's anytime it's hotter outside than it is inside, and like it's been staying in the high 20s, low 30s inside. You're supposed to shut all your windows and stuff. So we're ready for that, thanks to the smoke.
Yeah,
I'm in a literal fishbowl, but it isn't smoky here, so there is.
No, it's awful. I mean, it reminds me of how like everyone complained about how Orphan Black. Remember Orphan Black like from 4 years ago, and how like
there's a new show called Echoes that's out.
What?
Yeah, there's a new Orphan Black show.
Echoes. Yeah.
Orphan Black.
Not starring
Orphan
Titania
55. I meant Orphan 55.
Oh, okay.
Orphan 55. That's what I was wondering. What are you talking about Echoes for? It's a Pink Floyd song. Orphan 55. Everyone thought, you're just hitting us over the head with a hammer with your bluntness.
You were very adamant.
I was very adamant, and here we are 4 years later, and guess what? We have like the hottest weather ever in Alberta.
Here's the thing.
And it's covered in forest fires. It's like, all right, that was quick. Yeah.
But you were also irritating, so there's that.
That's true. And that was Orphan 55 in a nutshell.
Yeah, actually, that's a good review.
Benny! Benny! Don't take my Benny! Heady days of 2020.
Yay?
Yeah. Heady days of 1974 as we dip back to Yeah, oil crisis and power outages. Nixon. Tail end of Nixon, really, because he's about to resign in a couple when this was broadcast.
Yeah, exactly.
Classic series commentary for Planet of the Spiders. Part 1 is on this episode. We start our summer-long odyssey of Planet of the Spiders commentaries. If you're a Patreon supporter, you got it all in one fell swoop, more or less, over the last couple of weeks. But those are going to be doled out over the course of the summer, intermixed with other stuff, like perhaps stuff from San Diego Comic-Con. Doctor Who invades... no, it doesn't. Doctor Who's coming to San Diego Comic-Con this coming week. We mentioned it last week. Or as the official Doctor Who page says in their headline, Doctor Who heads to San Diego Comic-Con 2024.
Gosh,
Still haven't fixed it.
Yeah, I've been to San Diego. I've never gone to San Diego.
Yeah.
That was posted 3 days ago, apparently.
It was. And every time I post that and put it in the show notes, thinking, oh no, I spelled San Diego wrong. How embarrassing of me. And then I go, oh, wait, no, I didn't. I just copied it. San Diego, California.
That sounds like a made-up GTA city.
It does, right? It's like fakes.
Just down the highway from San Dimas.
Exactly, like, just move one letter. There, it's fine.
Yeah, Lester's going to call you up and tell you have to go to San Diggity or whatever the hell it's called. Take out the O'Neill brothers again.
The soundtrack can be San Diggity, Sand Out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go.
Anyway, the panel, the big Hall H panel is happening on Friday, July 26th, which is really handy for us, given that we record on Saturdays usually these days. But there's also going to be a Doctor Who podcast, the official Doctor Who podcast, one of the hosts from that, with the same 3 people who are on the Hall H panel are going to be there for a select crew of like lottery picked people, one of which is our good friend Heather Berberet. Who her and her Free the Squee co-host Stacey's going to be on the show hopefully next week. We can arrange a time to do a full-on report from San Diego Comic-Con.
Well, she is a San Delgado resident, so there's that.
She is from San Diego after all, so I can understand why she would... San Digian. I can't tell if the G is soft in San Diego or
I'm sticking
hard.
with San Delgado from now on.
San Delgado?
Why not name a city after the chairman of the board?
That's true.
That's just kismet.
Yeah. Boom. Got it. I got that. That's a good joke. Anyway, because and that saves me like $4,000 from flying down there and covering it myself. So thanks, Heather and Stacey. That'll be great. So hopefully we can arrange that next week, and if not, we'll just read tweets live on air from people who are actually at the Hall H panel. That'll be fun.
X's.
Yeah, maybe they'll also.
We do not mean X's.
No, maybe they'll also check out the intergalactic friendship tape. That's why I still can't say that with
friendship. You gotta say it with a W. Friendship.
Face. It just feels amusing to me. But the Alex Kurtzman Russell T Davies panel, which is happening late Saturday in room 6A, aka Black Orchid. Anyway,
one nice thing over the past however many years is more and more SDCC content makes its way to YouTube.
Yeah.
So it can be
that might show up. Who knows?
Seen after the fact. So
I forget. It's been what did they? Time is catching up with me.
During the pandemic, they broadcast most of it.
Well, yeah.
During the pandemic, they had just like Zoom panels.
It was like Zoom stuff in 2020 for sure. I'm trying to remember if they actually did. I remember the 1 year. I remember we talked about it last week, I think, where it was the 1 year where they had the panel, but
2013.
It was delayed, and no, it wasn't 2013. It was a different one. It was a Capaldi one. It was delayed for start time, but they had timed the drop time of a trailer. So ironically, the last people who actually got to see the exclusive trailer were the people at the actual thing. And I remember watching that on YouTube, I want to say, because I think they actually did broadcast that on their YouTube channel. I do not know if they do that now, or if they did it last year or not. Doctor Who hasn't been there since 2019 in a proper sort of fashion, so it's been a long time. But
yeah, I mean, bear in mind, it's not only official stuff that gets put on YouTube.
True. But I remember
that's
watching...
what Twitter is good for, is going and finding people with cameras filming stuff they're not supposed to.
That's true. Yeah. Mastodon isn't the best for multimedia posting stuff, so I don't think you'll find a full.
Well, I do want to understand how to use my printer with a Linux kernel, so that would be a great place to get scolded about it.
Or get shamed by people on Mastodon all the time. Follow him on mastodon.wandering.shop or something. I don't know where you're
However, I got to give Mastodon this. I haven't seriously thought about deleting my Mastodon account because I got recommended Nick Fuentes, white supremacist, to follow, which did happen to me on X the other day.
Ouch.
So, yeah, okay. Great. Yeah. Good shop you're running there, Elon. Way to go.
Indeed. Anyway, that's coming this coming week. It'll be curious to see what the vibe is when it comes to Doctor Who at San Diego Comic-Con, because as we'll discuss later, it's sort of in the news as of late because of Disney and everything. But we will talk about that before. First, though, Titan Comics has or Titan Entertainment, I should say, has a whole list of San Diego Comic-Con Doctor Who 2024 exclusives available at booth 5537 on the dealer room floor there. There's a 15-piece Kawaii All Doctors enamel pin collection. That's pretty cool, actually, including Ncuti Gatwa's Doctor Who. So he's there. So that's kind of neat, because I don't think he's existed in pin form yet. So, or indeed POG form.
What an odd sentence that is. I don't think he's existed in pin form yet. It's true. But...
yeah, yep, true. And there's little TARDISes, a blue and a pink one, and then there's also extremely limited numbers of the 13 different TARDISes with all sorts of different TARDISes that we've seen with different things painted on them over the years. And then there's also a exclusive comic book cover as well for the first comic book from Ncuti Gatwa's Doctor from
Tat. Comics. Get your tat here, hot fresh tat.
It's all I wonder what's going to be at the official BBC booth, or the Disney Doctor Who booth, because it's right across from the Disney Plus one on the floor as well.
Cattle prod to keep those fans at a distance.
Yeah. Could be all this and more happening at Comic-Con next week. This coming week, actually.
Coming up on Wednesday is when it starts, right?
Yeah, it does. Yeah, well, I bet you all the BBC socials will be all over it.
Probably. I don't know. Probably. I'll just, when trailers come out, I go, oh yeah, Comic-Con. So yeah, that's for whatever stuff they're launching. Not just them, but everybody. The media blitz.
Yeah. We'll cover it as best we can on the next episode of this here podcast, Doctor Who : Radio Free Skaro. One more convention note, though. The Gallifrey One's doing things a bit differently this year. They're announcing guests as they book them, as opposed to waiting to announce them in a whole one fell swoop. So we're getting them in sort of drips and drabs over the course of the few weeks, which is good because it keeps it in the public eye and reminds you that Gallifrey One is still the best convention to go to if you've ever been to Comic-Con and you're behind velvet ropes and lines everywhere. Gallifrey One is not that. It is amazing. And you should come. February 14th to 16th is when it's happening next year. And Louise Jameson and Sean Carlson will be there. Louise hasn't been there since 2017. First U.S. event for Louise in general in 6 years. So it's been a while. Wow. And I remember when she was at Gallifrey One, because I interviewed her, I think. And I interviewed her at Chicago TARDIS, too. So it's cool. It's cool to have Louise Jameson back. So
that interview was 2012 or 13, I think.
Was it that long ago?
The first
one, I know. And then I interviewed her on stage for another one. And in between that was a Chicago TARDIS one. I've interviewed Louise Jameson 3 times now. That's ridiculous. Tell that to my 12-year-old self.
A lovely human being, too.
She's just wonderful. Just the kindest of souls is Louise Jameson. Absolutely wonderful. So it's great to see her back.
Still have distinct memories of sitting in the hallway watching you interview her the first time at Galley, and just having casual conversation about vegetarianism, and that's how the interview began.
That did begin that way, didn't it? That was the same year that William Russell was there first time.
I believe so. Yeah,
sitting in the same chair.
Richard Senior, and
was that the same one, or was that? Oh, that would have been a hell of a weekend, because I know we did. I think
it was the same year.
2 years in that we were set up in that hall. That will. Oh man, I started to blur together. Yeah, I forget.
Boris Hussein as well, maybe.
See, all of them bled together, because then we were there's another one we were talking to, like Saul Metzstein was there in the hallway, and Freema Agyeman was there in the hallway. Like, there's lots of people in the hallway that one year. But the hallways of Gallifrey One. Anyway, Louise Jameson, Sean Carlson, all at Gallifrey One. The guests keep getting announced as the weeks go by. So check out the website, gallifrey1.com. for more details. Okay. So Doctor Who's been in the news a little bit, possibly tangentially. There's a big data leak from Disney. Disney had a bit of a data leak apparently this past week. It's called a massive leak of internal messages, so says the BBC. 4 days ago, it didn't mention much about Doctor Who, but of course that's where people like us sort of zero in on. And before the leaks were sort of stamped down, there was some relevant Doctor Who information, which was this: Doctor Who, apparently, according to internal Disney emails, is considered a, quote, low-budget series, end quote. Which is true, given what we heard recently about,
that not ever been true,
right? I know, I think Doctor Who, it came out, I don't know, $8 to $10 million an episode. I think the budget is what RTD was saying.
Is insane and doesn't look it most of the time, frankly, and that's fine with me. I'm not complaining, but it doesn't look like it cost $10 million.
Yeah, because the Star Wars shows are like 20 million or something like
20 million an episode. There's an episode of The Town, a very good podcast that both at least Stephen and myself listen to. And I don't remember if this is based on a leak or not, but they talk about all the different Star Wars shows and all the different ratings for the Star Wars shows, which probably means they got it from the leak. But yeah, and they're not doing as good as you think they are. So there you go.
What is though in streaming really when you think about it?
It was kind of a dumb idea. So, when all is said and done, streaming wasn't the brightest idea ever. Mm-hmm. But neither was broadcast. In fact, let's just go back to banging rocks together, guys.
Right. It was. We were at a baseball game, a Madison Mallards collegiate baseball game in Madison last week, and there was an ad during one of the inning breaks there on the screen there for the Major League Baseball All-Star game that was happening that night, and this is boom, boom, clip, all this. Watch the Major League Baseball All-Star Game on Fox. And a little writing underneath said, tune in on your TV antenna, which is
really
hilarious because so many people have cut the cable. But maybe you don't have actual local TV channels on YouTube TV, or if you don't even bother to pay for that. So now they've gone right back around to say tune in on your antenna.
Call it rabbit ears. Call it rabbit ears or give up.
Exactly. It's not that anymore. So maybe Disney Plus will become an over-the-air broadcaster as well, and you can tune in on your TV antenna.
You are skipping the lead that you only told me about this baseball game, in that there was a mascot birthday party, just like when we went to Spokane.
There was a mascot
One of the most glorious events in baseball history.
That's true. Maynard Mallard turned 23. We've been to 2 minor league baseball games, and both have had a birthday party for the mascot, which is pretty cool.
But the great one in Spokane was every single commercial mascot in Spokane came to wish him a happy birthday, including Recycle Man, who is basically a guy with a mullet and a big mustache and a cape.
Yeah, iconic. Iconic.
Oh, it was glorious. It was absolutely glorious. There's a lot of things I can criticize about America. That is not one of them.
No, that is America at its best, I think. Yeah. Anyway, Doctor Who considered low budget series according to Disney Plus, which is probably why they're not worried too much about the less than stellar ratings at its beginning, but more about that a bit later. They mentioned we'll go to the obvious bit, which is the 2024 Christmas special, Joy to the World, is going to be released on Christmas Day, amazingly enough. And
what?
Yeah. So that's good. So book that. But season 2, it said, is going to start, according to this March 28th, 2025, starting with 1 episode, and then the finale will be 16th of May. So 8 episodes over 8 weeks. No 2 episodes dropping at once and going out. So earlier than last year, because last season started in May 10th, 11th. And this is starting in March 28th. Coincidentally, 2 days after the 20th anniversary of the return of Doctor Who on March 26, 2005 with Rose. So
I wonder if they'll mark that. You'd think they would.
Do you think that's a tie-in? I don't think it's a tie-in. But
No. Just that there will be some sort of 20th anniversary. Nothing huge, but something. They'll mark it in some way.
I don't know. I don't think Russell T Davies will do anything with it, just because... How do you market a return of, he said as such in the past, we're celebrating 50 years, then 60 years, then 20 years. It just feels like, what are we doing here?
Well, maybe just acknowledge it as more of what I'm trying to say here.
I bet you the BBC,
hey, happy 20th or whatever.
Yeah, the BBC will tweet about it. There'll be a 15-second video, which will have David Tennant going, "Happy birthday again, Doctor Who," or something like that, and that'll be it. I'm curious though about the start time, about why they bumped it back to March. Was that always planned? Is that a recent thing? Given that maybe, May, June might not have been the best time for streaming. I don't know. What do you do? What do you two think about the potential early start time to season 2?
I mean, that might have something to do with what Disney's got going on too. They might have some big things being thrown at you in May and June, whatever they may be.
Probably 8 more Star Wars series.
It could be something else. It could be like there's a thing called The Descendants, which I'm sure people not my age know about. And it said The Rise of Red. So some character that's beloved called Red, I guess. But stuff like that we have no clue about could be a huge deal, or High School Musical or whatever, something of equivalent popularity.
All right.
And that would probably, they clear the decks for whatever this popular thing for kids is, as opposed to Doctor Who, which is a niche audience even on Disney+.
That's true. I was just checking to see if there's one of those comic book movies that come out, but there isn't really.
Captain America comes out in February, I think?
Yeah. And something called Thunderbolts is coming out on May the 5th.
That's the Suicide Squad of Marvel, and that's all you really need to know.
Sure. That's fine. And then there's a Fantastic Four apparently coming out on July 25th. So there's nothing around that. I thought that maybe that would be because that's sort of entering like peak box office season for the Disney people. Not that it matters to Disney Plus, but it does sort of like, focus their marketing attention on let's market this TV show compared to let's market this big giant movie, which will hopefully once again save the cinema industry, One of those
the only
things.
Marvel TV show I know about is the Agatha one, and that's coming out in November. So
yeah, who knows, Warren?
Not me.
No,
for one.
No, obviously not. So anyway, let's put a pin in that and see if this actually comes through. I know that I've put that in my planning document for RFS. I've got it all marked out now for our reviews starting on our March 30th episode. So it better not be wrong because I've put it in a spreadsheet now. So
you're nothing if not consistent.
Exactly. What else we got here? So there's this big thing in Deadline that said Doctor Who's regeneration has the Disney gamble paid off, and
answer uncertain according to the Magic 8 Ball.
It did the rounds, and it had a bunch of this and that and things and opinions mostly. But then as you sort of look at it through with a fine-tooth comb, thinking nobody from Disney or even North America is actually on the record talking about any of this. And the only two people they asked was Tony Jordan, society coordinator of DWAS, and Jason Quinn, editor of DWM. So neither at all to do with Disney Plus. Your thoughts, gentlemen, on this?
At the very least, the article does say Disney, the BBC, and BBC Studios and Bad Wolf all declined interview requests. Mm-hmm. So it's not like they didn't make the effort, but the stakeholders.
If you're those guys, you would decline. Yeah. So there's that.
Of course.
Yeah, but there's not even like an anonymous source, or like I think there's literally one. I'm scrolling through this trying to find this thing. One industry source was not convinced. Mind, the ratings are a problem. They tell us. That's what Disney will want to see results. But who is an industry source on that? That's the thing,
Well, we don't know, but it does kind of not confirm, but just sort of add to the fan grumbling, rumorish atmosphere of the thing. Right? Maybe it hasn't done as well as we thought.
I'll say two things to this article, and probably that's it. Number one, we don't know what the Disney numbers are. We may never know what the Disney numbers are
unless there's a leak.
Yeah.
Number two, the viewing figures themselves, as we've said innumerable times now, mm-hmm. The numbers themselves mean nothing.
Nope.
The numbers themselves basically have never meant anything. It's the numbers relative to other things. Mm-hmm. And if Doctor Who's getting 2.6 million for overnights, but it's hitting 8th for the week across all British TV, then that's still good.
Yep.
Also, Doctor Who fans are nothing if not suckers for punishment of themselves. Like, we just have to look for the worst possible. I'm just as guilty as anybody else.
You're probably not wrong. But like going through Doctor Who Google alerts, for example, every second link and they are all always to YouTube.
Yeah.
Every second, like, oh, Doom, Despair, whatever.
What does Doomcock think? Wait, I don't care. Oh, what about Nerdrotic? What do they think?
Oh, no, don't mention them. Yeah.
Absolutely not. They disgust me.
I mean, to be fair, like, our names should be up there with all these other randos.
Please don't put them next to those two guys I mentioned.
Right. Well, are those actual people? I don't even know.
Yes, those are actual idiot, anti-woke morons on YouTube.
Okay.
Which is to say people on YouTube. So, yeah.
But the point being, like, none of our opinions matter on this.
That too. Yes.
No.
Good point.
Yeah, although they did, I don't know if where they got this. Parrot Analytics was pretty noteworthy. Analytics company tells us that I'm reading for the Deadline article, that Doctor Who was the most in-demand UK originating show with US audiences during its early release. Although it didn't have enormous competition in this realm, Bridgerton counts as US apparently, while Baby Reindeer had been out for a month. It reached a high of 7th on Disney Plus's list of most in-demand series, Parrot adds, trailing the likes of The Simpsons, Fine.
Yeah, but
and
what does
Star Wars
what does in-demand mean? Like, it's just desirous, or is it actual eyeballs?
Right.
Is it, like, what does that mean? It means nothing without context.
Well, that's PR, baby. Making foo-foo nothingness out of numbers.
It is PR. It's spin.
Yeah, exactly.
It is a bit. I will reiterate my position that perhaps Space Babies and Devil's Cord were not the right 2 episodes to start off a series with.
Yeah.
Because, I'm not sure they resonated with people, and that's why it showed up pretty high in the ratings that first week, and then did not appear for the rest of the series run. So
this whole thing reminds me of, like, what we do in journalism is you always watch about 4 p.m. on a Friday, especially before a long weekend, to see what the news releases are, because that's where they bury everything, because they know nobody's looking except us. All right. So recently, the BC government put out a thing about how great this, that, and the other thing was, and then halfway through is like, oh yeah, these 2 projects are way over budget. This kind of smells a little bit like that. I'm not ascribing as much calculation to it, but it's that level of, I don't actually know anything, but here's some numbers, so it's not quite the same, but it's in the same sort of neighborhood of number 8 and blah, blah, blah. Like that, there's a lot of fudging going on there, like Chris said.
Yeah. Until streaming has never been very transparent with its numbers, and that was even part of, like, the strike. Like, how good are these shows doing? So we know
one of the reasons studios love it is for that reason.
Yeah.
One thing I really would like I would love to see the Disney numbers, good, bad, whatever. I would still like to see them, because I'm just curious, and I'm a numbers person, but the BBC has all their charter stuff, and there's a lot of disclosure that they have to make as a public broadcaster, things like that, which Disney or Disney Plus as a streaming service absolutely don't have to do and don't do. But by the same token, as a publicly traded company, I don't think it'd be a bad thing if they started releasing, Simpsons #1 and Family Guy #2 or whatever.
They're not gonna if they don't have to, though. That's basically that's corporate America. That's not just Disney.
Like, Netflix puts out their own little top 10, but, like, they don't list it with numbers.
But they don't
just
do
say,
numbers.
Here's our top 10. There you go. Don't ask any questions. We told you 10, all right, with no details. You're fine.
All that does is reassure me that dropping it was the right idea. But anyway,
there's also speaking of spin, how they spin the numbers, or how they report the numbers. It's not like 2.6 million viewers on BBC One. It's X number of viewing hours, or whatever, or
fall off within the show itself. That's one of the key ones.
Where if it's X thousand viewing hours, it's kind of hard for any individuals to skew that, because it's all done and they have to watch in real time,
right?
But it could be some people watching over and over and over and over. Or there's a push in late June for a particular 2024 Eurovision song to have people just listen, to have people listen on a particular day to try to get the song charting higher and higher in the Spotify rankings.
Right.
And so if you have concerted efforts for things like that, that one worked. You have all you're doing is artificially skewing things, and you're making the numbers even more worthless.
Yeah. You are. Yeah, it's a confusing situation, which is why we don't do the stats thing anymore, because it's a lot more fluid and there's a lot more stuff to choose from now that you aren't sort of all locked into watching the same thing.
I identify as stats fluid.
You do. That is true.
I'm stats. What am I? I'm not even going to wander in this one.
No, you don't.
Stats. How about that?
Exactly. Yeah. Anyway, so the article did sort of, be a springboard for conversation for Doctor Who fans, but I don't think there's a lot actually in there. I think it's desperately trying to make an article out of thoughts and opinions. Yep. Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry to keep interrupting, but
no.
You keep hitting the nail on the head. Clickbait, click-throughs, numbers, stats, eyeballs. Like that's all this. That's all this amounts to, especially all this YouTube garbage.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, hey, look at me. I'm being controversial, or whatever. The
thing is, Deadline is great for scoops. I'll give it that.
What's the saying? Something like a thunder, sound and fury amounting to nothing.
Signifying nothing. Yes.
Yeah. Warren, you're saying about Deadline.
I'm just saying Deadline, much like the Mirror, it's like, I don't like it, but they are really good at scoops. So I was willing to give it the benefit of the doubt, because they when they scoop something, they're almost always right.
But then they're not
just
really
like TMZ, unfortunately.
Yeah, but they're not. But the thing is, the Deadline isn't really scooping anything. Like there isn't actually any inside info really sort of detailing a lot of like the hook of this. Most of it's sort of speculation.
But if this is like
a couple comments,
comicbookraddude.com or some crap, then I would be Deadline. I'll give a little more slack to. Right?
Yeah, it would not even be in this news list. I tell you, wouldn't exactly talk about it. I know that the Jason Quinn comment at the tail end of this was getting dunked on a little bit when he says, when Doctor Who came back in 2005, having been off air since the late 80s, it wasn't a massive overnight success, and there wasn't Doctor Who mania immediately. I'm hoping that was taken from a longer quote about that being the case in North America, certainly, because it wasn't even on in the US for another year. Like 2006, I think, is when Sci-Fi finally picked it up. Like it was a slow crawl to get Doctor Who back on screens in North America. Well, at least in the States, we had it in CBC, of course, for Series 1, sorry. But it was a huge overnight success. It was like 11 million viewers on Rose, and they greenlit 2 seasons on the next Monday, and also had a Dr. Quid on them. So it was kind of a Doctor Who mania immediately, but not over here. I'm hoping that he was just misquoted with that. If not, that's a very silly quote to say and to end an article on.
Well, the quote from Tony Jordan, coordinator of DWAS, saying, "I thought it was a mixed bag." That's high praise from a Doctor Who fan.
That's true, especially from Doctor Who Appreciation Society too, who famously voted Deadly Assassin as worst of season 14 when they did their first ever poll.
I mean, to be fair, that was in the 70s when they had one other and a bit Gallifrey content to go off of, right? So
that's true. They hated it.
And then other things in here that make you question the utility of the article, like the thing you pointed out, Stephen, the other day when I sent this link, talking about like Disney making changes. A rumor has spread that a scene in which a giant snowman falls down and lands on Gatwa's doctor at the start of the Christmas special was demanded by Disney. As you said, RTD in the commentary said,
"It's not a rumor anymore.
It ain't no rumor. It's fact.
That's literally where it came from." Yeah. So
showrunner spreads rumor.
Yeah. Do your research, Dave Shutton, Springfield shopper. Come on.
So I don't know. As whatever positive stuff this says, it's like, I don't know. It's like anytime I read an article, and there's like grammatical problems or typos or something like that, it's like I question everything at that point.
Yeah.
And I think if they can't do the proper research, then I would.
Let me give you a little behind the scenes as far as typos and stuff goes. I used to work way back when for a paper called Metro, and they had free papers that went out across the country, and all the copy editing was done in Toronto. And so those are the people that come up with the headlines. So I wrote about a company called Ethical Bean, And the headline that came back, and I got blamed for, even though I had nothing to do with it, was ethnic bean. Because some guy was up at 3 a.m. doing headlines and probably fell asleep or whatever, screwed up. So this is, you got to remember, it's not a writer cackling to himself and getting things wrong. It's probably some spoke in the organization just going out of alignment.
I'm definitely not saying that it's intentional or anything like that, but when it does happen, it just shows a lack of care.
Fair enough.
It makes me wonder where else in the article that same lack of care was demonstrated.
You're not wrong, but also weird crap can happen, is what I'm saying. So
it can happen, but this is within, as Chris says, this is within the actual article and not just a headline, which is often done by different people. Like San Diego or San Diego.
Yeah, like who's this attributed to?
Also,
Max Goldbart.
Show your work, Max Goldbart.
And I'm not saying my current work because it's not like this. I'm not talking about them at all. But people in content mills, like Deadline are expected to crank out 10 articles a day or however. God only knows how much it is. Right. So sometimes stuff gets under the wire.
And obviously every organization is going to be at least somewhat different, but I also wonder how much editorial oversight there is on stuff like this.
We need to replace them all with AI. Everything will be fine then. Just fine.
Yeah. Oh, God bless AI. Going to help us all. One. I'll tell you, as time goes on, that Near article about the war between the land and the sea is looking more and more accurate. Kudos.
Speaking of tabloids that are annoyingly right.
Kudos to I think it was Nicola Methoven who broke that like way back a few months ago, like March or something like that, about it being a 5-part series again about featuring sea devils and Silurians. Pretty much bang on, folks. And it's shooting in September, despite what Digital Spy said this week. That was known like 3 weeks ago.
Still waiting for confirmation on Freeman.
That's true.
And keep waiting. Keep waiting.
Captain Jack and everything else is coming back. No, but it looks like that is indeed what it is. I'm really curious when they're going to announce that. I wonder if they're going to announce that at Comic-Con. Maybe that'll be a thing. Maybe that
wouldn't surprise me. That would make sense.
Yeah, despite only with Gatwa and Gibson not being a part of it, probably, but
show a teaser and just have a Sea Devil at the end of it. In fact, they'll probably use that shot of the Sea Devil from Legend of the Sea Devils, or what the hell it's called. that'll be the shot they'll use, thinking, well, they'll never notice this, just like they used to do with Star Trek, where they'd sneak other Trek stuff into, like, I think it was at Star Trek 7 Generations, where they use the shot of the Klingon ship exploding in 6, and I'm sitting there going, you think that wasn't gonna get back Trekkies? Like in the theater, I'm like, come on, that's shot from 6.
Yeah,
come on now.
It was only 3 years ago. Come on, Star Trek.
Now, to be fair, Motion Picture did the exact same thing with Wrath of Khan, and you don't care because Wrath of Khan rules.
That's true. Whereas everyone's looking for holes in Star Trek Generations.
Yeah, and found them, plenty of them.
They sure did. They sure did, including the hole within the force field, where, of course, is where they shot and did the thing. I'm just talking about the climax of Star Trek Generations. The causal nexus. Yeah, I don't know.
The ribbon.
The typewriter ribbon of
what
death.
A waste of Caligula.
Yeah, a little bit. And indeed of what's his name from Tank Girl the next year. But
yes.
Oh, also Alex Delarge from
Malcolm McDowell, yes.
Yeah. So there we go. There's our chatter. That's all of our words that we talked about with that Deadline article and the future of Doctor Who.
We spent too much time on that.
We really did.
A little bit. We'll reconvene now. I am curious though about the earlier start time, if indeed that Disney leak is real. I'm curious to see how that does. If that was always a conscious decision to do it then, or if they thought let's bump it back earlier because we think that it's going to do better in spring as opposed to basically late spring. Maybe it won't interfere with an Oilers Stanley Cup run next year, which would be really handy because
that's not a concern anymore.
Cruel but true.
They're going to win it next year.
Whether it was Bad Wolf's decision or Disney's decision or a combination or whatever, the fact that everything for season 2 has already been shot and all that obviously gives them a lot of flexibility for start times.
I have to wonder. I feel like Disney is driving the bus on that because the BBC, likes to have like ideas of when they might want to schedule something. But I bet you I think Disney probably says, we're going to drop it here. And that's when you're going to air it. And there we go. And we,
Well, when you're popping 10 mil an episode in, whether you can see it or not, you kind of got a little more leeway to say.
I don't think they're popping that. I would love to know what the budget breakdown is, sure it's 10 million, but there's also Sony money involved in Bad Wolf Studios itself, plus BBC Studios budget as well. Like, I wonder what the budget for Disney, like, is it half? Is it 20%? Like, even that, if it's 20%, then they're only kicking in like 20 million tops.
And like I said, and this is not a criticism. It doesn't look like 10 million, so maybe it isn't 10 million. Maybe that number could be wrong. Like,
I don't know. Yeah, I'd love to know what the breakdown is.
Nobody's going to break open their ledgers for us to find out either.
No,
damn it.
Sally.
Why can't I look at your private financial numbers? This doesn't seem fair.
Find out some better leaked stuff there, hackers, next time
just
around.
about this specific show. I don't care about the rest of it or whatever chicanery you're up to. I just want about the specific show. Exactly. Come on. Exactly. I'll be your friend.
Yeah. Oh, you're mean. Doctor Who magazine 606 came out. Also, while I was in Madison, Wisconsin, I saw the cover, skimmed through it. I haven't read any bits about it, but they do look. It looks like they have some lovely tributes for William Russell, of course, the first magazine issue since his passing, and a whole big giant panel thing with Ncuti Gatwa and Bonnie Langford and Gemma Redgrave and Yasmin Finney and Russell T Davies and more, covering the making of the finale and all that, and all that stuff.
Hidden treasures of the Space Museum. That's a loaded statement.
Finishing it. That's a hidden treasure.
Yeah,
and I love the Space Museum.
I do love that. I can't remember the name of the production assistant who was the hand of Sutekh basically on the Pyramids of Mars, and his Twitter interaction with Benjamin Cook, who of course did the cut down version of it, managed to make its way into it as an artist. So basically they had a Zoom conversation based around that Twitter conversation. So it's fun when I see a genesis of something happening on Twitter that later becomes a thing later on, and that's exactly what happened there. So
January 6th. Oh, never mind.
Yeah. Yeah. Boo.
Well, I mean, Tweet-alongs got us the tenant specials, so
true.
You never know where things are going to go.
That's true. That is very true. So anyway, Doctor Who magazine 606 in good shops and less good shops now. Doctor Who is at Madame Tussauds. They announced that it was coming earlier on this year, where they had Ncuti Gatwa choosing his eyeballs. Basically, to
that
go
sounds creepier than it probably should.
Yeah, in his wax dummies, but it's out now since the 19th. The Doctor Who fans can go to Madame Tussauds in London to check out the display.
Don't go to Madame Tussauds.
Wasn't planning on it.
Don't go.
No, why? What's wrong with Madame Tussauds for?
I've been on this rant before. It is so expensive, and it is always. I've never been, so I mean, I'm
wait.
From that perspective, I don't care. But I've been by there it's near Baker Street, and just going by there, and seeing the massive lineups. Like, this is such a money maker,
right?
But it is just, I don't know.
Having never been,
don't go.
Having never been,
don't go.
Don't go.
Well, I mean, other than seeing Doctors Who, I don't really care about a bunch of kings and queens I haven't heard of, and yeah. So,
well, I mean, if you need to go see a Robbie Williams wax dummy or something,
I don't. He looks like a wax dummy to begin with, so I mean,
yeah, maybe I want to go see him. Having said that, if you want to go,
then you go see it. Don't go. Don't go. Don't go. One of my pieces of advice for London: don't go to Madame Tussauds.
Well,
there's nothing else to do. Come on.
Yeah, there's literally nothing else in London to go to. What do you've only got Madame Tussauds.
You're right by Regent's Park. You're right by Baker Street. You're right by.
You got suckered into my Stephen suckering of me saying something that is clearly untrue, and you're taking it literally.
Nothing at all. It's just London is just a vast suburb with a wax museum at its core, and there's nothing else.
PCAP said, London, what a dump.
What a dump.
I'll be there in a week. Hooray.
If you want to go, though, there's a TARDIS set up, and it's a nice little backdrop of an impossible London, because like there's buildings in the Tower of London in there. You have to say it's basically the Thames logo, Thames TV in a backdrop form, and then there's Wax and Ncuti Gatwa there in his outfit. In what I think the BBC has sort of determined, despite his constant costume changes, to sort of be the default Doctor outfit, which I like. I like his outfit there. So. Anyway,
I can't look and not hear the Thames music.
Right, I know.
I've definitely lost track, but that was that not the first outfit revealed?
No, it was not. It was the one that we saw at the end of Dot and Bubble with the orange jumper and the sort of the checked trousers a little bit. That was the very first one that
you're right.
Every cosplayer rushed out to replicate and not realizing that they'd never see it again.
That's still a cool costume.
It's still a cool costume, but the long leather coat with the shoes and the shirt and the double.
How many people cosplay the overalls for Sarah Jane or Romana One's white dress or whatever?
Yeah, we'll end up picking.
You see those in one episode, one story, and never again. So.
That's true. That's true.
But they're iconic, so there you go.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Anyway, if you want to go against Chris's local advice,
don't go to Madame Tussauds.
If you want to, if you want to,
bad tourist,
be an iconoclast. Maybe if you're in London, maybe if you've been literally to everywhere else in London except for Madame Tussauds.
I mean, now I kind of want to go since Chris doesn't want me to so bad.
Oh, you go right ahead. You can tell me after the fact how bad it is.
I'm not going to, but I just a small contrary part of me.
I want to say that I've been to the one in Victoria, BC, back in 1984 or 87.
Was that official Madame Tussauds?
Yeah, it is. It's official. It's official. And I think either there was a real one or it was a touring exhibit. I don't know, but I do remember going there. I might even have pictures.
My sister lives near to where that would be, so I'll have to check it. There is Miniature World is still there. So.
Oh my God! I remember Miniature World.
Standard ticket. For Madame Tussauds London, walk-up price, £42.
That's nothing. Come on, I was expecting 100.
Hold on. I'm getting a tour of Westminster, of like the Parliament buildings, and I think it's a little less than that.
Are you really? Oh wow.
Yeah, absolutely. Wow. My sister and I are both doing that because I was like, well, why the hell not? I've been to Japanese Diet. I've been to Congress when I was a kid. I've been to Canadian Parliament at least twice. So so of course I'm going to do this. And yeah, it is cheaper than Madame Tussauds, although just as filled with wax figures.
Political commentary.
Yeah. Warren, you can go see Charles and Camilla. You can see The Rock. You can see, there's a painting frame that you can stand behind and have your picture taken.
Here's what I love.
There's a Yoda. You can go see Yoda. There's
in wax form. He looks so lifelike compared
Here's
to
what I love about this. Last week, putative president-to-be Donald Trump got shot in the ear. But this week, this is what we, and specifically Chris, are harping on about for about 20-odd minutes now.
Isn't it refreshing?
That and a kind of fake article.
Isn't it refreshing? We're choking on wildfire smoke to tell you this, to tell you do not go to Madame Tussauds.
Wait, where's my fiddle? I do believe I'm going to change my name to Nero.
Yeah, literally fiddling while it burns. Anyway, don't go to Madame Tussauds, but if you do, which you won't, go see the 15th Doctor exhibit, but don't.
No. Yeah, but don't.
Okay. A couple things before we get the hell out of here and talk about some old Doctor Who, which, let's face it, is the remit of this show. Is the Gold Archive: Invasions of Earth: A Secret History is a book chronicling the secret invasions of Earth. It says so right on the cover. It's by Mike Tucker and Steve Cole. It's coming out in hardback on Halloween, October 31st, 2024, but you can pre-order it now. Links in the show notes. And a couple big Finish notes. Our good friends Paul Cornell and Elizabeth Miles. Paul Cornell wrote the original goth opera, of course, way back when in the 1990s.
94.
94 as part of the The Missing Adventures. And Liz has adapted it as a big Finish audio. It's out now. Peter Davison, Sarah Sutton, Janet Fielding, and a cast of many others are in this. So it's cool to have this sort of become a thing in the world. Look at that, adaptations of a thing. So I know this has been in the works for quite a while. I remember Paul and Liz talking about it at Gallifrey once, like years ago. So like this has been in the works. So it's really cool to see how this all comes to fruition. Anyway,
we've had Paul adapted Human Nature for TV, obviously.
That's right.
But Big Finish is such a wide open playground for so many of the other Missing Adventures, Past Doctor Adventures, New Adventures.
There's a ton of books they could do this with. And
I mean, RTD did, what the heck was it called? He did his.
What was it called? I know the one you mean.
I can't remember the name of it either.
Yeah, I know the one you mean.
My brain's drawing a blank.
Jubilee?
I mean,
no.
But I mean, I'm still Big Finish and I are, we don't. I can't really get into that medium.
Audio drama is a tricky thing. It's a difficult medium, as you say. Yeah,
it can be. I've tried, and it just doesn't agree with me.
But you wish them the best.
We appreciate the work and the effort and everything like that. For those,
I listen to it more than you guys do. But
yeah, you do. Yeah,
yeah. Anyway. But there's I would still cheer very loudly if they did like an adaptation of like Cat's Cradle or
I was gonna say
Time Worm or so whatever stuff like that.
Yeah,
all the Benny stuff that's already been done.
Benny! Oh, sorry, the other one. Yeah. Yeah, Summerfield.
So I mean, good on you, Big Finish, for doing this.
Absolutely. It's cool, right? I was thinking of the first four, of which Paul Cornell wrote one, Time War of Apocalypse. Those would be interesting to have.
Terrence Dix wrote one.
Those would be interesting to have those four. They probably have. Let's face it, they probably have, and we just don't know about it.
It was the second ever New Adventures release, but Time War Exodus is still this elevated position in my memory and brain.
So. Terrence Dix wrote that. Yeah, it was so good.
I never read those.
It was good, Warren. I read a book, and it was one of the last books that I read. And
your endorsement means nothing. I have to say.
I know. I said I read this book.
The book, but.
I read the book. It says that's it. It's been done. We've got enough. We've never bettered, and I stopped.
I can just imagine scholars studying you. And what was the book that did this? Some Doctor Who spent. Okay.
I wasn't turned off by something. I was like turned on, and then we can't top this, so I'm done. I'm not watching.
Shakespeare, you can go to hell. Yeah. Time War of Apocalypse. There we go.
And how is Big Finish not done Lung Barrel?
How has it not?
Looms.
It has, surely. It has.
I just Googled it. It hasn't.
It hasn't. Get on that. 25 years.
Because all the Looms controversy.
25 years ago this week was Big Finish's 25th anniversary of the very first recording. They were showing images and stills of McCoy, Baker, Colin Baker, and Peter Davison all gathered around, like about to record. They all look so damn young. And then like shots of like Gary Russell. I'm not sure if he was a teetotaler then as he is now. Jason Haig, Ellery, Nicholas Briggs, and David Richardson, all like having. They just look like they're 12, like a bunch of teenagers got together.
Did any of them have hair at the time?
Oh, they all had hair. That's the funny thing is they all had hair. Although some of them were little patches, but just like man, the core of that company has been at it for 25 straight years, just putting their love and passion into. Let's face it kept Doctor Who alive. It kept Doctor Who
books
going.
Basically.
Yeah, at a time like 99 was, let's face it, late 90s, early 2000s was probably about the nadir, I think, when it came to like hope for new Doctor Who. Yeah.
Because the TV movie failed so gloriously.
Yeah.
That I'm not going to say all hope was lost, but most of it was down the tubes.
Close to being done,
And now the Shaka Doctor is canon, so there you go.
And exactly. For me, it was the DVD. Like the DVDs had just started coming out, I think '99, and I thought this is cool. And because for about 12 and a half minutes, I thought maybe I'm done with Doctor Who now, and then new DVDs, perfect. Steered out of that,
and DVDs put together with care and love and VAM.
Yeah, and VAM.
What you got to remember, though, and they did a better job, is that pretty much almost all DVDs had Care and Love and VAM in them back then. It's just now it stands out so much because streaming doesn't care.
Yeah.
So many DVDs that did not have anywhere near the attention that Doctor Who was given.
I agree, and I'm saying they're top of the heap, but there were a lot that had a lot of stuff on them.
There's a lot, but there's a lot that didn't. Like even major studio releases that were like just the movie.
But I'm saying the contrast now is even bigger. Nobody cares except Doctor Who. Yeah. And at the time, you got some good ones.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no longer do you look at the back of a DVD slipcase and see motion menus as a special feature.
You don't, because there are no DVDs to look at.
Yeah, basically. But, speaking of Back to Big Finish, even they have VAM for those, and like they have audio dramas in general. For like, I'm not sure if Star Trek ever had this massive franchise of audio dramas.
No, I don't think they ever did.
Star Wars or any other huge long-running franchise.
Star Wars had the NPR plays.
There was but not to this extent. Big Finish has been as massive an entity as anything. 25 years.
I can't think of another one.
Star Trek had a healthy book range for at least for TOS and TNG.
And by the way, those sometimes go on sale for $1, and they're the good ones.
Right.
On Amazon, I've scored about 10 Kindle ones. I'm like, I'll spend $10 on 10 Star Trek books that I may or may not read the rest of my life, but did back then.
I remember in 1993 going to a Star Trek convention in Calgary. Ew. And sitting at the auction and paying whatever the hell I paid for autographed Peter David
for 42 pounds. This same price you can pay to get it in the Manitou cells, I'll bet.
Oh, it was a hell, much less than that.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of what book would that have been? I can see the cover of it, the Peter David one. It was a
Peter
big
David
deal.
Wrote stuff like Vendetta, and
that was the one. Vendetta. That's what I was thinking of.
Which was a sequel to the Planet Eater.
I've actually read this one. That thing is
whatever the name of the TOS episode.
The Doomsday Machine, and it was built to eat the Borg, and that's why Guinan ties in. It was actually not a bad book, as I remember, for my 20-year-old imaginings. Who knows what I think of it now, but
yeah, in the 90s it was great.
See, this is the enthusiasm you get for the spin-off stuff,
right?
And that's Star Trek,
that's Star Trek. And then think about what Big Finish has done with Doctor Who. Like it's amazing. Well done. Hats off, Big Finish.
Part of that too is that the radio play tradition never died in England, and it sure as hell did here and in the States.
Yeah, it did kind of.
And I had to Google it because I wasn't quite positive, but Peter David also wrote Imzadi.
Oh, right, yes.
Another great book about Riker and Troy.
Anyway, this has been two old nerds reminisce about Star Trek books. While the
and
third nerd
there not having ever read any of them.
No.
Well, he gave up once he hit Time Worm Apocalypse.
Exodus, yeah. While the third nerd tries to praise Big Finish on 25 glorious years.
Good luck.
Of Big Finish plays, culminating in Goth Opera, ironically enough, on the actual 25th anniversary. So you could almost consider Goth Opera the silver nemesis. I would never do that. I would never do that to Goth Opera. It is not the silver nemesis of Big Finish. It is much better than that.
Paul hasn't even listened to this yet, and I can feel him like readying a punch for you the next time he sees you.
Yeah. He's got a knife he's just sharpening right now.
Yeah, well, I'm not going to Worldcon this year, so I can say what I want now, and all those feelings will subside.
Thanks for putting me under threat by the well-known, very violent Paul Cornell.
Oh boy, let me put a cricket bat in his hands, and it's game over. The character of Simon Pegg's character in Shaun of the Dead is indeed based on Paul Cornell. So,
Paul, we love you.
We do. Well done. Well done, Big Finish, who also has Second Doctor visits Paternoster Row in the Paternoster Gang, No Place Like Home, by the way, featuring Michael Troughton as Patrick Troughton as the Second Doctor. That's coming December. I'm just saying December 2024 is when that's coming, so 3 parts.
Yes.
Series there.
Just going to say, I like to give Big Finish stick about all their endless crossovers that they can do, because they can do. But is it kind of cool that the Second Doctor is going to beat the Paternoster Gang? You bet it is.
It's kind of cool. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, who woke up on the morning of July 19th when this was announced saying, I wonder if there's ever going to be a Second Doctor Paternoster Gang crossover. And now there is.
Take it off.
Why the hell not?
There isn't a Lungborough, but there is that. So
there is.
Yeah.
But I mean, in my mind, the Paternoster Gang is so closely associated with Matt Smith that I forget they're even in like Deep Breath.
That's true. They are.
I forget that too. You're right, Chris.
Yeah, they are. That's sort of their swans.
So having them team up with yet another Doctor just seems so weird but interesting.
The Paternoster Gang, the Paternoster Gang and Deep Breath are basically like Unit and Robot. It's just like, oh right, you're just sort of like
that's a
and
good
then
way to put it.
Off you go and have your own adventures.
That's a great comparison. Yeah,
isn't it though? I just came up with that, and I have smoke inhalation, so that's great.
Give yourself a pat on the back.
I will, which will just make me cough more. So, without further ado, we're gonna get out of. Well, we're not actually. It's boiling. We're gonna boil to death, so we don't asphyxiate to death here in northern Alberta. This is the sacrifice we make for you, dear listeners, for you. But it's no sacrifice at all to watch Planet of the Spiders over the next 6 episodes or so, which is what we will do after the break. Our classic series commentary for Planet of the Spiders, Part 1.
Are the microphones wired in?
All run the condenser, most merciful. We're looking forward to excellent duodecaphonic sound.
This is the moment when I get a real feeling of job satisfaction.
Welcome back to the classic series commentary, aka time-filling portion of this podcast. And that couldn't be any more true than the story we've chosen for the next 6 episodes. It's John Pertwee's finale from 1974. It is Planet of the Spiders. Yep, a classic story. I'm sure we're going to reappraise it. We're going to overlook all the bad things, and there are some bad things about it.
Oh, yeah.
And we'll talk about them.
The thing is, we give End of Time a lot of stick for dragging things out. This is really dragging things out.
We'll see. We'll get into it. Let's waste this precious talking. Well, we could talk about it on the episode.
Exactly. We talk over Cyril Shapps when he shows up.
Exactly. Oh, spoilers. Cyril Shapps shows up. All right. Everyone has, I hope.
Spoilers 50 years later.
Or legally purchased Blu-rays, your Season 11, your John Pertwee Season 5 Blu-rays for when those come out. All at the ready. Perfect. Here we go then. Planet of the Spiders, Episode 1 in 3, 2, 1, play. Still my favorite title sequence is this one right here.
The one that came immediately after with Tom Baker is my favorite, because it was the first one I saw.
Yeah, but I mean, this originated that whole thing.
Yeah.
This tunnel is cool, though.
I know. And look at that. See the bottom left of the screen until the Doctor Who comes in. The tail end of John Pertwee's cloak is still there. And it's there in the Tom Baker version, too, which I found odd. Yeah.
John Pertwee's cloak?
No, John Pertwee's cloak, I think, is still in the Tom Baker intro. I'm going to have to compare it. Yeah. Anyway, there's Mike Yates walking along.
That's some 70s hair right there.
Looking like a damned hippie.
Proper cows. That is the cover of Pink Floyd's Adam Hart Mother right there.
Sorry, I was just thinking, this is the England that John Cleese of the present day wants.
You know
cows
what?
And green meadows.
Honestly, like when we went to the UK for the first time, it was like I was disappointed that it wasn't 16 millimeter film.
I was too. To be honest, like walking around downtown London,
my glasses going like,
why isn't this on videotape?
Yeah, Obi videotape. This doesn't feel right to me. It's just like 16 mil is like this is what England is, and then interior is obviously not. But
I love how
one of the two Ronnies?
I thought I was gonna say, is that one of the two Ronnies?
He looks like
not Roddy Barker, the other one.
Corbett.
He looks like also he could be a member of the Politburo.
Yeah.
I'm just curious where this theater is. Like, is it that small, or are they just like at the second last row?
Second last row, I'm hoping, is what they're trying to portray. But yeah,
is that this, God amongst men, the Doctor, who will later save the world in the Time War, is stuck watching this terrible cabaret in 1970s England.
Like, he's not, though. That's the thing. Like, he's clearly choosing to be there because he has a working TARDIS now. He can go off wherever he likes. No, I'm going to the Brigadier with this thing. Actually, no, he goes there on purpose to. So this is Barry Letts and his fascination with Tibetan Buddhism.
Here's what I'm going to do. I've seen various fans, in quotes, put in their own music or different music and say, I improved this scene. I'm like, no, you didn't. So I'm going to take Philip Glass's music from Kun Dun and throw it in here.
Oh,
for the hell of it, which is really good music. So,
yeah. You mentioned the End of Time, Warren, and it honestly, let's face it, the Planet of the Spiders is the original End of Time. Yeah, because it's a bit of an indulgence. It's also, let's face it, an indulgence to the whole era ending. Like there's Christopher Burgess right there. Pretty much every person in the guest cast has been in Doctor Who during, like there's Carfor Gioni, who is not. This is his first appearance. He's in Ghost Light later. Lupton there. Nimrod? John Durst played the voice of Boss in the Green Death.
Yeah. The first guy you said, was that Nimrod?
Yes, it was. Yeah, well done. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thing is,
how patronizing on me, but yeah.
War Games is way longer, but it pops. This does not.
It does, but this feels like a bit. Let's face it is a bit of a self-indulgent.
Oriental music continues.
Even the subtitles are a little bit out of date now.
What is going on here? I haven't watched this in years. Extraordinary Muscular Control.
Well, because
dear Lord,
they just watched a belly dancer, and so the Brigadier is perving out on that. So
I can see that.
Here.
Okay, that's a research project. Got it.
Yeah. Corporal Clegg is in the name of a Pink Floyd song, for what it's worth. So there's 2 Pink Floyd references I've managed to squeeze in, and both happened before Dark Side of the Moon. So that makes me a real fan.
Good.
Yeah.
I was worried.
And what now? There's Andrew Staines on the left, which I think was Andrew Staines is in there, who was Barry Lett's son-in-law, who was Gooch in Terror of the Autons.
I thought this was Tom Baker for a second.
Oh, right, look at that.
Nope, it's Cyril Shaps.
Cyril Shaps as John Pertwee as Tom Baker.
That looks like a prototype costume
as Matt Smith with that giant bow tie.
That's true. I was gonna say that looks like somebody with a failed. Oh, there's no such thing as a failed cosplay, but a imaginative cosplay, let's say, for a Doctor Who convention.
Mm. Good old Cyril Shaps. His third of 4 appearances in Doctor Who.
That is a very Smith outfit. The only
one left.
Yeah, it is kind of, isn't it?
Then they got dueling bow ties here. He's winning. Shaps is.
I know. I love that Ncuti Gatwa said that his favorite Doctors are David Tennant and John Pertwee. He's really taking a shine to Pertwee. It might just be down to the fashion, honestly, but I don't care.
Who knows? I mean, any number of reasons you could like him. Fashion is probably part of it, but.
Mm-hmm. Good old Cyril Shaps.
I mean, what choice do you got, really? Like, it's pretty drab for the first 2, and it's kind of like out there, but not really fashionable for the 4, 5, and 6, and 4, 7 for that matter. Really, only when you get to good old Cloaky Magoo there with what's his name?
Magoo.
Why is this guy?
I don't even know what you're talking about, Warren. I don't know if you're talking about Doctors Who or
this
Paul
guy here,
McGann.
Paul McGann. I don't know why I couldn't remember his name. Yeah.
Oh my God. Oh, this
Cloaky
is it.
Magoo.
This is it. Cloaky Magoo, now known as the 8th Doctor.
It just left my head.
Cloaky Magoo.
Let's not forget this style icon right here. I mean,
that's true.
Come on.
That is true. Oh, I'm sorry, Paul McGann.
My brain just said, "To hell with it."
I'm insulted on your behalf.
Well, I'm going to blame Cyril Shaps, who is using his mind.
Well, he's got. I know he's using that shin. He's using that shin of his.
Every time I see anything with him in it, I always think back to your request to Luke from Timudwhoop.
All those years ago.
Was it a Christmas Advent or something?
Yeah, it was. He was doing a request, and I said 22 short films about the neurotic Cyril Shaps, and he found 22 clips out of thousands, let's face it, of Cyril Shaps being
in a day.
Yeah, in a day.
Whereas I can't remember the name of a doctor. You guys remember this crap.
Yeah. I remember, so Erica and I watch Midsummer Murders, and we're up through season 17 and 18 at the time of recording. But early on, we started watching it, and like episode 1, I think Cyril Shaps shows up, and I thought, oh, you know what? This show is going to be like a boon for Doctor Who actor spotting, so we're in.
No doubt.
How long ago did you pass on? In fact, is anybody in this entire show alive so far?
No. No, that's right. Early 2000s. Oh, God, I think everybody's in this.
Well, I mean, Richard Franklin, no, he has passed. That's right.
He's passed on like this year.
Oh, John Levine's still with us, of course.
Oh, that's true, but he hasn't showed up yet, so.
No, he's not showing up. But in this scene, no, sadly. This is 50 years old now. It's weird looking at these unit scenes because when you know Robot, and it's basically shot the same
room,
time.
Or Blue Peter.
Or Blue Peter that one week when there was a strike, yeah.
Set mover strike.
Mm-hmm. Which makes more sense than that episode of Star Trek Discovery that came out, which was set on the Mirror Enterprise for no reason.
For no damn
other than they had the set.
Yep. By the way, I think they should have named the TV movie The Adventures of Cloaky Magoo.
Cloaky Magoo.
Here
we go. Sorry, we got to interrupt your comment. Chris, it's time to talk about the first instance. Well, not the first instance of maybe the first color TV version of Yellowface, Kevin Lindsay. Oof.
I never clocked that this was supposed to be not a white guy.
Nor did I at the time, I have to admit. And now, as we get older and become more aware of things.
But it is, as a teenager, I just didn't think of it.
Yeah.
having seen Pertwee stuff last, based on just how KSPS ran things.
Me too.
I'm pretty sure, I know for a fact I read the book for this way before I ever saw it.
Same here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And the same probably applies for most, if not all, of Pertwee's stories. But yeah, in the book, obviously, it's a lot more obvious of his heritage.
Yeah. Which you can do in a book.
Well, that's fine, because it's a book. He can be an Asian person.
Mortimer Rail Station, named after comedian Bob Mortimer.
Bob Mortimer, that's very same, yeah.
This is a top tier Sarah outfit, I think.
It is.
Actually, so far all the outfits are pretty good.
The outfits are very 1974. Very 74. The trousers are starting to flare a lot more.
Just speaking of the 70s. Sorry, go ahead.
So speaking of flares, Joe Flaherty look about.
All right.
Here's some more embarrassing sadness.
Oh, he's still with us. The actor plays.
No, I mean what's happening right now.
Yeah, I know. I'm just thinking of people who are still alive at time of recording. That's all.
So speaking of still alive, and this is long since old news by the time this goes out, but the Voyager that they reanimated in space, far away from the solar system, 1974, baby. That's when that baby launched.
My God, what a scientific...
What's totally fascinating is, they repaired it by sending a signal that took a day each way, because it's the speed of light. And this thing has got the power. This watch has more power than that thing does. But they also have a computer set up in NASA to this day that's the exact same model. So they can do all the stuff on that first and then figure it out and then send it to it, which is insane. They have like an old museum of crappy old computers that they have to keep going, which is just so totally cool.
Mummer set.
She's not looking. She's driving. What the hell is happening? I know she's not. But I just remember in Japan, it's the same thing. So I was driving around with a friend of mine, and he was in that seat. And at first, I was just like grabbing for the wheel because I'm like, "What the hell's happening? We're all gonna die." Oh, never mind.
Can we point out how kind of rare it is for Doctor Who in this time to have sort of like character growth across episodes, like this,
or a car shot like that back and forth where they're clearly driving?
Honestly, I don't even know how they would have shot that back in those days. Would they have just had to
the drives?
Yeah, they're on a trailer. I bet you.
I don't know if they're on a trailer at that point.
Low loader.
I don't know if that's maybe. I don't know if that's
that'd be the easiest way to do it.
Because I know when they did the Bessie scenes, it was John Pertwee driving. But they're going on at a healthy clip here. He's
doing actor driving. There's no way that's real driving.
Oh yeah.
Well, he is,
and you can tell it's fake because the steering wheel's on the right side of the car.
That's Warren's point.
Nobody does that.
Yeah, I don't know if they're towing that car or not. I honestly don't know. But
I would bet.
I would say low loader.
Yeah, I think Chris is right. I think that's probably the easiest way to do it. Mm-hmm. It's not easy. None of that's easy.
I'm gonna be controversial and say I actually quite enjoy Planet of the Spiders, apart from when they finally go to Metabilis 3 when it all goes terribly wrong.
So like Pertwee's my favorite Doctor.
Yeah,
and I don't mind Planet of the Spiders, but yeah, it does drag, especially with all the Whomobile and helicopter and car chase and all the Pertwee indulgences. Like, that's the kind of thing that a Pertwee fan should like. But
to be fair,
draws things out too much.
Why not give him his last episode? Look at this tank. Look at that.
Metabilis 3, if it wasn't like if they did that, maybe location, not set, and maybe made it look a little bit nicer.
Yeah,
and the spiders didn't suck
better, but
yeah, we'll get to that.
The spiders were fine for the time.
Those that
Amber, look at that. Oh,
that headset, by the way, is also from the Green Death. That's what John Pertwee wears.
That's some beats right there.
Boss, yeah. Early headsets.
Those are Bose Quiet, not comfort.
Not comfort at all. Inconvenience, I believe they're called.
Yeah.
I mean, thankfully, there's a piece of foam or whatever on top of the head for.
Is this where the Briggs infidelity is exposed?
I don't know if it's infidelity. I think it's proper fidelity.
I'm having some real nostalgia over the amber display because that was before the more modern green displays.
Right.
That's what they had, the amber ones.
A working TV monitor. Now a hairdresser here.
Hairdryer.
I was thinking dentist. That really obnoxious lamp they shove in your face when you're at the dentist.
And now, is this tech that the doctor developed or picked up, or...
You also were involved with a lady called Doris. How interesting. Yeah, that's Doris right there.
Whoa.
Illicit Drashig encounters.
That was me looking at the price of that sonic screwdriver in Toys R Us.
Still got my Tom Baker one back there.
I do too. I don't have the Pertwee one. Never got the Pertwee one.
I have a Pertwee one.
Yeah. Although
we have Pertwee, Tennant, Smith, and that might be it.
I didn't go for the I didn't get the River Song one. I want to get the Shooty Gat one when it comes out, but
yeah, hopefully it comes out by August. Maybe I'll just stumble across one in England.
Mm-hmm. I could be wrong, but this might be just getting a close up of the maybe we didn't realize. I don't know. Like I didn't know. I just didn't know. Let's face it. When I watched this,
I just thought it was a white guy.
Like, it's on
me, I guess. But
just talking kind of, and like maybe it's. I didn't really see what a faux Chinese performance would be from a white person at the time. I just didn't put two and two together at the time.
No, I didn't either.
And now I see it. Like I'm trying to look. Like I'm trying to look around the eye. Like if they've like tried to pull his eyes back or something like that with tape, which was common at the time too. I mean, it's mostly through Kevin Lindsay's performance.
Yeah, his voice is kind of a stereotype as well.
The prosthetics that Sean Bennett has in Talent of Wing Chiang. Oy, different times.
It ain't great either way.
No, different times, kids. It's different times. It's I we're not here to excuse it but it is fascinating to look at what was acceptable at the time.
I mean, let's not forget the minstrel show was an actual thing on TV at the same time.
Several years after
which I didn't know about till I saw it in 2015. A friend of mine who was an archivist showed me. I'm like, this was on TV in the 70s?
Alpha Centauri shows up on the black and white minstrel show.
What the hell? How is this allowed?
I know.
And it was. So here we go. I'm like, it's not often North America gets the moral high ground on this sort of thing, but...
Yeah, if it's difficult to find online because of all the clearance rights for all the clips that were shown. But our friend Simon Harries did that wonderful documentary series. It was all right in the 70s and 60s and 80s and stuff. It just showed you.
Oh, that one.
Yeah,
we watched that. We watched that at your place, Warren. I think.
I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah,
it's good. It's really good.
Back in the day.
Simon gave me a copy of those because he produced it. He's allowed to, and I watch those quite often just because it's just fascinating. Just where TV and where culture was back in those days, Yep.
Although that reminds me of, because they have people who weren't around for it. It's like, oh, you could never do that nowadays. Yeah, but you wouldn't want to.
No, you wouldn't want to.
Look at that.
There we go. That's a proper
Oh, Warren's gonna go get his.
Getting up to get his Metabilis crystal.
Mine's in another room.
Mine's in another room too. I feel like I've misplaced it, but I do.
I know where it is. It's just not in this room.
Yeah, mine's in my dolly cabinet.
You found it, Warren?
Yeah,
I've got my emotional support Metabilis crystal.
Yeah.
Metabolus crystal, actually.
Yeah.
But I had to be careful because it's amongst dollies, and I didn't want a dolly explosion.
Good old Liz Sladen.
There's one thing Buddhism loves, it's manifesting evil. I think that's what they've taught us through the millennia.
That's true. I remember, I'm atheist by nature, but one of my first ever...
Isn't everything atheist by nature?
Yeah, I suppose so. But one of my first ever gigs out of college in broadcasting was there was a United Church conference in town in Camrose where I grew up. And they needed camera people for the closed circuit television. I think we were also broadcasting it somewhere on Vision TV or something like that. And so I was a camera person. It was like my first ever job. And we were shooting stuff, and they had people from the United Church. They're going to doing speeches and all this. And then somebody from like a Buddhist society came up and did a speech. And he had no F's to give, and it was great. And I could just tell the rumble in the room was like, I don't know about this. And I just thought, you know what? In those
the clutching of pearls.
In those few minutes, I'm thinking, the United Church is probably about as liberal as Christianity gets. But even in that moment, I was like, I could see myself becoming a Buddhist one day.
If I had to pick one, I'm not going to pick any of them, but I could pick one.
That was my one and only flirtation, ever so briefly, with you know what, maybe I should join.
My parents got married in the United Church because it was the great unifier. At the time, you had to do something religious, and it kept everybody happy. Because I don't remember what my parents were, probably whatever the British thing is, not Anglican. My mom's side, and my dad's side is Protestant. I was baptized Protestant, couldn't care less, had nothing to say about it. I was a baby. Mm-hmm. But they got married in the United Church because that way everybody was happy. It's like, here you go. It's like Switzerland as far as getting married goes, right, to keep your religious parents happy.
Oh yeah.
Which is a concern more for my parents' generation than it is for ours, obviously, but
Everyone's got medallions on. I love it.
What was this car? Pretty rich rules.
It's a great car. Is it the same? No, obviously it's Mike Yates' car, but I feel like what car does Sarah drive in Robot?
Not that.
Right?
Can't remember.
It's a convertible too, but
I want to say it's more boxy, but I don't remember off the top of my head.
I want to say it's blue. Is it blue? I'm trying to think.
Yeah, I think it's like light blue.
Yeah, you know the one she drives in to get through and to sweet talk Pat Gorman into letting her into.
But I might just be compiling several old 70s cars from Doctor Who in my head.
Yeah.
She had a midget MG.
Oh, that we don't say that anymore.
Yes. Okay. What's worse, calling the car a midget MG or a little person MG? That's actually worse, I think.
I know, right? Oh boy. God, not spoiler alert. Context. We watched Stevie Wonder's performance on Sesame Street just before pressing record on that, which was like the epitome of greatness from 1973. And now we get to see all the yellow face and the
we've really balanced
cultural sensitivity
in a very Buddhist way. We've sort of balanced the two.
We kind of have,
Jedi versus Sith way.
Yeah. Also, there are way too many convertibles in England for a country where it rains 82% of the time, you know?
That's true. You don't see that many convertibles here in Vancouver for that very same reason.
No.
You do see them.
Oh,
yeah, I'm just gonna wave the Metabilis crystal whenever it shows up.
There it is. There it is right there. Oh, no.
Metabilis.
Like the Indian porters. Oh, no, even Joe's being racist in her later. Oh, let her. Oh, man.
Look at some strong Burmese days vibes happening here.
It's not good. Oh, I love these Sergeant Bed. Literally everyone else is busy. Maybe you can do it. Have you ever tried to stare into the Metabilis crystal there, Warren? Or
this thing has a light in it, but I can't. It's really tough to get it on.
Yeah, my light kind of is a bit knocked out too. Our friend Jake Simpson got us that. We're allowed to say that? I just did.
No, I'm sure you'd be fine with it.
Oh, absolutely. Why wouldn't he?
Not got us, made us.
He made us.
Manipulating the, how do I put this? Disadvantaged.
Yeah. Yeah. This is, you know what though, like portrayals like this, which, you know, we're lauded as kind,
which they technically are, I suppose.
And, yeah, and like acted brilliant. Like, let's face it, Sean Penn did this in that.
Yeah,
I Am Sam.
Or I Am Sam. I just like look at that now. I go, this is appalling.
Hollywood loves that crap.
They
love patting themselves on the back.
Didn't Dustin Hoffman win an Oscar for
Rain Man? Yeah,
it's a little different there. I think it's a little
bit, but I Am Sam, which is like early 2000s. It's like, oh my god,
2001.
Yeah, that feels so dated now. But there you go. That's 21st century. That's only 23 years ago. You know, things really change. I think about
great Beatles covers on that soundtrack, though.
It is a Beatles cover thing, isn't it? Yeah,
whole thing.
Wow.
You're saying, Stephen, you think about what?
I think about like who didn't they not even have like a black actor to play Barack Obama on like Saturday Night Live for all those years?
Yeah, I believe you're right.
And they had like Fred Armisen playing. I was like, is Fred Armisen black?
Also, Crash won for best. The wrong Crash won for best and for what I've never seen it. From what I can tell, it's racism bad. Okay, what else you got?
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
I gotcha, but also you got a point beyond that.
Yeah, when broke.
2 hours of this, great, wonderful. Whereas the other Cronenberg's Crash is we're perverts. Here's a whole bunch of being a perv.
Oh my god. Oh boy, things are kicking off now. So basically,
it's kind of interesting intercutting though.
It is directed by Barry Letts. Interesting that basically everything like
this is Star Trek time. Look at this.
You look at the demons, and you look at Time Monster, and you look at this, and they're all three are written by Barry Letts and Robert Sloman, and all involve something happening, something being summoned at the same time as something else happening. It's like the exact same ending for all 3 episodes.
You know
it just killed Cyril Shaps.
You know what's great about this, besides Cyril Shaps' death, is that some poor technician was probably like this on the side of that camera as it was being tipped over.
Oh yeah, because there's probably this massive,
this giant Ikigami or whatever.
Cam.
Yeah.
I don't think they used an Ikigami back then.
The tubes are probably smoking with the effort of it all. Oh, there we go.
Yeah,
our rubber friend.
Ah, Boris the Spider.
Doctor Who's called the Doctor Glurm.
Oh, that's it. Oh, that's the end. That's the cliffhanger
right
there.
That's the cliffhanger. It
was a spider. Planet of the Spider. We finally were on a planet, and then we saw a spider. So,
yeah, it's like Planet of the Daleks. Hey, there's Daleks.
Like we had Daleks in the title. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Beat me to it, Warren.
Absence of the Daleks.
Good old Cyril Shaps. We'll see you once more in Androids of Tara. There's Christopher Bird just right there.
What a guy.
Andrew Stans, Terrence Lodge. That's the other guy who was.
Now, you think with a name like Cho-Ji, I'd clue in, but I didn't.
Right? I know. We were so clueless back then.
Oh, well.
Fred Hamilton, long time. Bernard Wilkie. This is towards the end of his time on Doctor Who, I think. Terrence Dix. All of them. Rochelle Selwyn. Well done. There's Barry Letts right there. No producer credit. Could only take one. Director or producer. He chose that one. So there we go. We're 1/6 of the way through this classic story to wind up the John Pertwee era. So join us next time for episode 2 of our classic series commentary, Planet of the Spiders. Until next time, I'm Stephen Edmonton.
Warren in Vancouver.
And Chris in Edmonton.
So long for now.